let's look at this model here. What happens? Outside the model is preconception. And I say that's where we as souls waiting to incarnate saying, I want to accelerate my evolution as a soul being. The one way I can accelerate my evolution is by incarnating as a humanoid. How exciting is that? Because we compress the energy into this very dense thing, and with dense energy we accelerate our growth. So instead of drifting around in the ethers and maybe take 1,000 years to learn these lessons, I can do it all in 80 years. How cool is that? So let me see, what am I going to come in as? That's when I said at lunchtime, had a lesson, that little star seed. What am I going to incarnate as? And so each of us has made the choice, so no point feeling sorry for ourselves for where we are. So we made that choice. And what do? We go out hunting. Okay, who's going to be mum and who's going to be dad? Because they are part of the co-conspiracy. Like in adoptees' case, who's going to be our adopted parents? They're all part of the same conspiracy. Okay, and Carolyn Mace, going back to her work, MYSS, she has a thing called Sacred Contracts, a book around that we choose to come in or choose to have lives with certain people, and only once we fulfill that contract are we then free of those people. You may find in your relationship situation, there's a contract there. Once you've learned the condition or what was holding you in that contract, work it through, you're then free to choose what to do. Whether to remain there or not remain there. It doesn't determine what you should do, it just means you have the freedom. When we're trying to find freedom, we're not trying to say what's right and wrong, because that's judgment. What one is freedom. Okay? So we come along, so conception takes place, and at that point of conception, you can't suddenly say, okay, I've got this white mum and a white dad. Conception happens, said, you know what, I decided I want to be a black kid coming in this lifetime. Well, a bit late, dude. You've made the choice. Okay, so once conception happens, choice is taken away. Same as I say, and I say being born gay is a choice, preconception, to say, what does it mean to be in a same-sex environment? Let me explore that. Let me try this out this time around. We've all had that experience sometime or other. Let me try that out. I can't suddenly decide after conception, well, you know what, that's not such a cool idea after all, because I might be a bit of an outlier and I'm not quite sure I want that. I think I'm going to be born straight instead. Too late. So thereafter, choice is no longer there. Electroshock therapy to try and turn me straight, that ain't going to work, dude. It doesn't work that way, because this whole aspect is saying something different. All right, so you come along, conception, then we learn, so we're totally free. We're one with God. There's little babies are born. That's an expression of God, the expression of spirit, a pure little thing, innocence. Totally liberated, comes in, and very rapidly it moves to that place there just to stay alive. Now, while my arrows go on the outside here, they go on the outside only for graphic purposes. This is a all over the place journey. Okay, it's not a nice square journey. So, but it's kind of this direction. So we come in there, 4 to 5 years old. We learn to conform, we learn to comply, we learn that if we're going to be horrible, miserable little babies, we get smacked or beaten or deserted or abandoned or whatever might happen. Or maybe we have a very, very patient mother. But we learn by that stage there, we've basically come into a place of conformance already as a human being. We've learned to conform. Okay, now something happens here which is something big, and this is where mythology comes into it. The mythology tells us, we know why it happens, the how is unclear, is around about the age of 4 to 5 years old, a part of us splits off, an aspect splits off. You watch kids at that age, you become quite clingy, because what happens from a seer's angle, that age, is the soul aspect, that thing, your double, your soul being, moves off, splits off. The how is unclear again. Going back to the Toltec teachings, they have the concept of the known, the unknown, and the unknowable. The known world is the stuff around us. We know the stuff. I know this is a mouse. I wouldn't have known that 100 years ago. It would have been quite different, a mouse. That's a mouse today. So it's a known world. The unknown is stuff which I can still know. I have the capacity to know, and I have a capacity, each one of us, capacity to know an enormity. We have the capacity to know everything inside our auric cocoon, our auric field. The fact that we spend our lives just in one part doesn't mean to say we don't have the capacity to find other parts. And that's a whole different discussion, different workshop around that. I don't want to go into that stuff. The unknown is the energies beyond our auric field, the stuff we don't have the power to contain. There's enough energy to contain this. What's outside there, they call that the unknowable. In the teachings, the Toltec teachings, the concept of God is an unknowable. What do? We spend our lives fighting and killing each other because my definition of God is better than your definition. It's an unknowable, and the Toltecs say there's a sheer madness having religious wars. It's an unknowable concept. Okay, so this whole idea of why or how the split takes place is a little bit unknown. Whether it's unknowable or not, I don't know. But what we know happens is we become either distracted from the spirit who we are, the soul who we are, by all the incredible stuff around us, shiny object, reaching. All our attention goes to this stuff. But in the process of that, the thing next to us splits off. In that thing which splits off, now I've been trained to see this. By seeing what happens here next to a person, you can tell the sexual orientation of that person. That concept of sexual energy comes into it. And we're living in a world where sexual energy is becoming a powerful thing rather than sexuality. Because you as a physical being, as a female, you carry a female energy body in your physical body. So next to you, what's split off is the male aspect of who you are. Okay, the yang has split off. Now, because I can see it's embodied in the male body, he has a male form, it has a male form, you are therefore a straight woman in terms of the labels we give people. If that was in a female form, but it was a male in a female form, we would call that a butch lesbian, in terms of the labels. And you'd become the lipstick dyke in terms of labels, how we label things in our society. But that's why I can kind of see, when you start seeing these things, you start realizing how complex the society really is, and how many people, because of this need to conform and comply to labels, are living in fear of who they really are. A huge amount. And as they become adults, as that thing splits off more and more, they come down here, and the church and formalized religion make sure you are really terrified of it, that you can't be who you really are. You end up in a space here. Each of you will be feeling a different tension for whatever reason it might be, and the Me Too women's movement is saying, no, women have been, when women's suffrage comes through? Gosh, that's quite recent in modern history. Okay, and they're saying, enough of this. I don't want to be there. And you've still got, can you have, in the Catholic Church, can you have women priests? No. It's still sitting there, this stuff. We're still sitting there. So the thing which controls this here is typically the archetypal male. Archetypal, the Adam archetype sits controlling there. Not even the Eve archetype can actually operate here. The Adam archetype sits there and controls that. And that's an archetype. Okay, and you see that. And we sit there and we look at some of these things on the board. And you wonder why there's so much dysfunction going on. Because we're not that. We become very blended beings now. As we're moving to the age of Aquarius, this is being challenged head on. This is the old Piscean energy. So there's a huge challenge happening, and I think a lot of tension with feelings around this at the moment.